Welcome to Zoe Stories. All men forced to wear skirts. The day started like any other, gray clouds hanging low over the city, a chill in the morning air that matched my mood. Erin, 21, barely managing part-time jobs and unpaid bills, trudged through the crowded streets toward my office. My life had become a dull blur of numbers, deadlines, and borrowed money. Then came the announcement. The email popped into my inbox like a cruel joke. All male employees are required to wear skirts starting Monday. Compliance is mandatory. HR department. I blinked. Twice. Then a third time. Surely this had to be some mistake. Skirts? On men? Must be a prank, I muttered to myself, shaking my head. But the HR bulletin was official. Bold letters, formal tone, no signature, just the unmistakable decree. Panic bubbled in my chest. I looked around the office. My coworkers, mostly guys like me, average, unassuming, were staring at their screens, expressions ranging from disbelief to horrified resignation. Some were laughing nervously. Others muttered curses under their breath. I felt a chill run down my spine. How could this happen? Who could force men into skirts? And why? That's when I saw her. Madeline, my boss's sister, visiting the office for a corporate audit. Tall, striking, with sharp cheekbones and piercing green eyes. She moved through the office like a predator in heels, scanning the room, a smile tugging at her lips, half amusement, half menace. Looks like some of you are struggling with the new policy, she purred, her voice low, smooth and commanding. My stomach knotted instantly. She stopped in front of me. Erin, you look like the type who'll fight it until it's too late. But I can help you. Or make you comply. Her eyes glinted dangerously, a mixture of promise and threat. My pulse spiked. I didn't know if I wanted her help, or feared what it would cost me. Madeline leaned closer. I understand how hard this is for you. Most men resist at first. But wearing skirts isn't just a rule. It's a lesson. You'll learn restraint, submission, and maybe something about yourself along the way. My face burned. Submission? A lesson? I swallowed hard, my heart pounding. There was something intoxicating about her presence, a dangerous allure that made my knees weak. I can't, I stammered. Oh, you can, she said, her lips curving into a teasing smile. And you will, whether you like it or not. She handed me a small envelope. Inside was a delicate pleated skirt, soft and feminine, with a matching top and stockings. My hands shook as I held it. I wanted to throw it away, to run, to scream, but I couldn't. Something in her gaze rooted me in place. That night, at home, I stared at the skirt lying on my bed. My reflection in the mirror stared back at me, tired, anxious, terrified. And yet, part of me shivered with anticipation. Was I about to do this willingly? Or would I be forced? The envelope contained a note, simple, yet chilling. Tomorrow you will wear it, or face consequences. My pulse raced. I couldn't imagine walking into the office in that skirt. I couldn't, and yet something inside me trembled with a forbidden curiosity. The question lingered in the air, thick and suffocating. Could I really be transformed by just slipping on a skirt? Morning light spilled into my tiny apartment, but sleep had been impossible. The skirt lay on my chair like a silent, mocking reminder of what awaited me. My hands trembled as I reached for it. Each fold, each soft pleat seemed to whisper, "You belong to her now." I had tried reasoning with myself, tried imagining walking into the office as usual, but the note from Madeline had made one thing painfully clear. Compliance wasn't optional. I undressed slowly, heart hammering, and slid the skirt over my legs. The soft fabric clung delicately, unfamiliar against my skin. The stockings were worse, slippery, tight, impossible to ignore. My reflection in the mirror startled me. No, not Elle yet. Just me, Erin, looking different. Feminine. Vulnerable. Exposed. The tight blouse accentuated my chest awkwardly, making my shoulders look smaller, my frame softer. I could feel a strange heat rising in my body. Panic, embarrassment, and something else. A thrill, faint, unbidden, making my knees wobble. Madeline's words echoed in my mind. You'll learn something about yourself. I shivered. Was this curiosity, or fear, or something else entirely? A knock on my door made me jump. Ready. Her voice was smooth, commanding, almost playful. I swallowed hard. I guess so. She stepped in, heels clicking softly on the floor. Her gaze swept over me like a predator appraising prey. Not bad, she said, circling me. But it needs work. The way you move, the way you hold yourself, it's awkward. And awkward will get you noticed. Too much attention, dangerous attention. She handed me a small pair of heels. My hands shook as I took them. I had never worn shoes like this in my life. She guided my feet, adjusting my posture, showing me the subtle sway of the hips, the tilt of the shoulders. Every correction made my cheeks burn. Look at yourself, she said sharply. Really look. You're not Erin anymore. Not fully. You're her, whoever she is. And everyone else will see her first. I froze in the mirror. I hated it. I feared it. But a part of me couldn't look away. My reflection wasn't just me. It was someone else, someone soft, delicate, and somehow intoxicating. Her hand rested lightly on my shoulder. Good. You're beginning to understand. But don't think it's enough. Today is just the start. My stomach twisted. She wasn't just teaching me to wear a skirt. She was teaching me to be feminine. And she held all the power. Time for your first trial, Madeline said. She opened the door, revealing the bustling city streets below. I froze. My legs felt weak, my heart raced. You're going to walk to the cafe, she said, voice calm but firm. No hiding. No excuses. And you will not run. I stepped out tentatively, heels clicking against the pavement. Every glance from strangers made my face flush. Whispers followed me. Some men stared incredulously, some women smiled, approvingly or teasingly. I felt my pulse pound in my ears. Each step was a battle between panic and exhilaration. Between Ethan, the man I had been, and the new self Madeline was forcing me to confront. At the cafe, I tripped slightly on the heels, catching myself awkwardly. A group of students nearby laughed softly. I felt my face burning red, my heart hammering in my chest. Madeline's voice rang in my ear, soft but cutting. See? This is just the beginning. You'll learn to love it or break trying. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. But deep down, I knew something inside me had changed already. And I wasn't sure if I wanted it to. The question hung heavy in the air. Could I survive the day? Could I survive her control? And would I want to? The city seemed alive with judgment. Every step I took in the skirt and heels felt like a spotlight shining directly on me. The soft swish of the fabric against my thighs, the unnatural sway of my hips, every glance from passers-by, it was almost unbearable. I could feel every stare. Some were curious, some amused, some incredulous. But there were others, smiles of admiration, subtle nods that made my chest tighten in ways I didn't understand. As I walked down the crowded street, a group of women passed by, whispering and glancing at me. She's so pretty, one murmured. Is that a man? Another asked. The words hit me like shards of ice. I froze, heat rushing to my face. My hands trembled as I clutched the skirt, a mixture of shame and something else, stirring uncomfortably in my chest. Madeline's voice rang softly in my ear, though she was a few steps behind. See? That's the power of her presence. People notice. They can't help themselves. And neither can you. I wanted to deny it, wanted to feel anger or disgust, but I couldn't. The compliment, the admiration, it sent an unexpected thrill through me. My knees went weak, and I stumbled slightly on the heels. By the time we reached the cafe, I was sweating, heart racing uncontrollably. I ducked into a corner, trying to hide my trembling hands as I adjusted the skirt. Are you all right? Madeline asked, her tone deceptively gentle. I don't know, I admitted, voice cracking. I feel wrong. And yet, I feel something else too. I don't understand it. Her smile was soft, almost triumphant. That's the point, Aaron. Or should I say, Elle? The use of the name felt like a dagger and a bomb at the same time. It humiliated me, but it also awakened something. I glanced at my reflection in the cafe window. Elle's face stared back, feminine, delicate, and strangely captivating. Tears pricked at my eyes. Shame, fear, and a confusing flicker of desire churned inside me. I felt exposed, vulnerable, and yet undeniably alive. She leaned close, whispering into my ear, "You'll learn to love this. You'll learn that submission, beauty, and visibility are not punishments. They're power. And I'm going to teach you how to wield it." I flinched at her words. Power? How could this humiliation possibly be power? And yet, every step, every glance, every whisper in my ear made me feel something stirring deep inside, a mixture of fear, anticipation, and excitement I couldn't name. I wanted to fight, to run, to claw my way back to the man I used to be. But with every passing second, I felt the edges of Ethan fading. Elle was rising, subtle, slow, and unstoppable. I caught my reflection again, this time more closely. The soft cheeks, delicate lips, and wide eyes, they weren't mine, yet they were. I felt a strange, unsteady pride, a horrifying, thrilling pride. And deep down, I knew that Madeline was watching me carefully, guiding me, shaping me. Every emotion I felt, she controlled. Every blush, every shiver, every glance in the mirror, she orchestrated. As we exited the cafe, I tripped again on the heels. A young man passing by laughed softly, a mixture of amusement and admiration in his eyes. Madeline's voice cut through the embarrassment like a knife. "See? They notice. And soon you'll notice too. The moment they call you beautiful, you'll never forget it." My face burned crimson, my heart thundering in my chest. I didn't want to feel pride, but I did. I didn't want to feel desire, but I did. I didn't want to like being called pretty, but deep down, a part of me already did. And in that moment, I realized, this is just the beginning. The apartment felt smaller than usual when I returned. The skirt, stockings, and heels I had worn all day now seemed like heavy weights pressing against my mind. Every movement felt amplified in my reflection. I barely recognized the person staring back at me. Aaron, Ethan, who was I anymore? I stood in front of the full-length mirror, hands trembling as I adjusted the skirt. My reflection was soft, delicate, undeniably feminine. My shoulders sloped in ways I had never noticed before. My legs appeared longer, hips subtly curved. The face, Elle's face, stared back. I touched my cheek, feeling the unfamiliar smoothness, and a shiver ran down my spine. The reflection didn't just show me, it showed a potential future, a new self that was terrifying and strangely alluring. I whispered to myself, almost as a plea, "Ethan, where are you?" But the voice that answered inside my head sounded softer, lighter, unfamiliar. Tears began to blur my vision. Shame, confusion, and a strange longing churned inside me. I felt humiliated by the day's public exposure. The stares, the whispers, the accidental compliments, they all piled up, leaving me raw. And yet, beneath the humiliation, something else simmered. Pride? Pleasure? Desire? I couldn't name it. Madeline's words echoed. The moment they call you beautiful, you'll never forget it. I had felt it today, that strange warmth, when a passerby smiled, when someone whispered admiration. I hated myself for feeling it, but I also couldn't stop. I tried to focus on Aaron, the man I had been, but every mental image of him felt distant, fragile. Elle was creeping into every thought, every reflection, every step I took. I caught myself adjusting the blouse again, straightening the skirt. Small movements, unconscious, driven not by Aaron's self-consciousness, but by Elle's emerging poise. Was I becoming her, or had I already crossed the point of no return? A soft knock interrupted my thoughts. "Time for your evening session," Madeline's voice called. Calm, commanding, irresistible. I felt a flush of dread and anticipation. Her control was absolute. I had no idea what she had planned, and I feared it, but I also wanted it. She entered, assessing me like a sculptor examining clay. "Good," she said softly. "But you're still resisting. You feel it, don't you?" The pull toward her. The pull toward Elle. Her words cut deep. She wasn't wrong. I had felt it all day. The humiliation, the thrill, the subtle pleasure of being admired. And now, in the mirror, those feelings were magnified. Madeline guided me closer to the mirror. "Look at her. Really look. Who do you see?" I tried to answer, but the words caught in my throat. I don't know," I whispered. "Exactly," she said, smiling softly but dangerously. "You don't know. And that's perfect. The less you know, the more malleable you become. The more you'll discover about what it feels like to be beautiful." Her hands adjusted my hair, curling it softly around my face. Her touch was gentle, almost tender, yet I felt exposed in ways I couldn't describe. I shivered, half from shame, half from the thrill of her dominance. I glanced at my reflection once more. Elle's eyes stared back, confident, alluring, alive. I realized with a shiver that the reflection in the mirror no longer belonged entirely to Erin. She was there, creeping into my identity, and there was no clear boundary between us anymore. Madeline's soft voice cut through my spiraling thoughts. "Tomorrow, you'll step outside fully as her. And you'll see. They'll notice. And so will you." The weight of anticipation, fear, and forbidden excitement settled over me. I didn't know if I wanted to resist, or if I even could. The morning air was sharp and biting as I stepped out of my apartment. The skirt swayed with each step, the heels forcing a rhythm I was uncomfortably aware of. My chest rose and fell, my hands trembled, and a soft tremor ran through my legs. Every reflection in shop windows and cars that passed mirrored back a version of me I barely recognized. Elle. Madeline walked behind me, her heels clicking like a metronome that measured my anxiety and anticipation. Her presence was magnetic, controlling, and terrifying all at once. "You're going to do this," she whispered, close enough that her breath brushed my ear. "And you will feel every eye on you. Every stare. Every whisper. Let them see her, and let yourself feel it too." I swallowed hard. I wanted to deny it, to run, but my legs moved forward. There was no other choice. The streets were bustling. People noticed immediately. A pair of teenagers passing by laughed softly, pointing at me. "Wow, she's so cute." A man at a nearby cafe stared openly, his jaw slack, then quickly averted his gaze. I felt my face heat to a burning red. Every step became heavier. Every glance felt like a knife. My chest heaved, not just from the cold or the anxiety, but from the electric tangle of humiliation, and something else. Madeline's hand brushed lightly over my lower back, guiding me through the crowd. Her touch was subtle, almost protective, but it reminded me of my complete vulnerability. As we walked, I caught myself adjusting the skirt, smoothing it down, lifting my chin. The movement was automatic, unconscious. Elle's poise was emerging without my permission. I hated it, and yet a strange thrill coursed through me. The admiration, the whispers, the stares, it was intoxicating, addictive even. I felt exposed, raw, yet a part of me wanted to linger in the spotlight. Madeline's voice in my ear. "Feel it. Every glance, every whisper. They see her, and you will start to see her too." My stomach knotted. I wanted to protest, to cling to Ethan, but the more I walked, the more I felt him fading. Elle was taking over, subtle, insidious, unstoppable. At the corner of the street, a group of college students passed. One of the girls whispered loudly enough for me to hear, "She's gorgeous, but is she a guy?" I froze. Heat flooded my face, and my legs quivered. I tried to smile, to deflect, but the heels betrayed me. I stumbled slightly. The group laughed softly, teasingly, and a part of me wanted to sink into the pavement and disappear. Madeline's hand rested lightly on my shoulder. "Good," she whispered. "You feel it, don't you?" That delicious, humiliating thrill. That's the first step to truly becoming her. I shivered violently, part mortified, part aroused. I hated that part of myself. I wanted to cling to Aaron, the shy, ordinary boy I had been, but he felt distant, fragile. Elle was creeping into every thought, every movement. Every glance at the passing crowds made me more aware of my body, my appearance, my femininity. I caught a reflection in a shop window. Elle's wide eyes stared back at me, soft cheeks flushed, lips slightly parted. My stomach twisted. This wasn't just a costume. This was me, or her, coming alive in a way I didn't fully understand. Madeline's voice cut through my spiral of emotions. You're beautiful. You're mesmerizing. And soon you'll start believing it too. As we walked past a small cafe, a young man smiled openly at me and said, "Excuse me, you're really beautiful." My face burned hotter than ever. My legs felt like jelly. I wanted to run, to deny it, to scream. And yet, deep inside, a small, forbidden spark of pleasure flickered. Madeline's lips brushed my ear. There it is. That little spark? That's her. That's Elle. And you're beginning to understand what it feels like to be seen. I trembled, humiliated, exposed, ashamed, and uncomfortably, impossibly, thrilled. By the time we returned to the apartment, I was trembling from exhaustion and emotion. I had faced the city fully as Elle, had been stared at, whispered about, admired, humiliated. Madeline turned, smiling softly but dangerously. Tomorrow we go further. Public spaces, larger crowds, more eyes, and you'll see how much you've already changed. I looked at the skirt, the heels, the reflection in the mirror. Elle's eyes stared back. I barely recognized her, or myself. And I realized with a sinking, thrilling fear. There's no turning back now. The following morning, I woke with a mixture of dread and anticipation. The skirt from yesterday still hung delicately over my chair, teasing me with its soft folds. My reflection in the mirror caught my eye, and for a brief moment, I froze. Elle's face stared back at me, flushed and delicate, the eyes wide with a fragile vulnerability I wasn't fully used to yet. Madeline's earlier words echoed in my mind. You're beginning to understand what it feels like to be seen. I wasn't just beginning. I was feeling it now in ways I couldn't name, couldn't fight. Madeline had decided that today's challenge would be longer, more public exposure, a slower walk through the crowded streets. I slipped into the skirt, stockings and heels, adjusting each fold with trembling fingers. The fabric hugged my thighs, my blouse pressed against my chest, every inch of me exposed, every movement amplified by the delicate clothing. As we stepped outside, I felt every gaze pierce me. I could hear whispers, feel stares, and sense the silent judgment of strangers. Yet, beneath the panic, a small, forbidden thrill coursed through me. And then I saw him. He was sitting outside the cafe, a young man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Our eyes met, and I felt my chest tighten, my breath catch. My cheeks flushed red. He smiled again, a soft, almost shy smile, and I could feel my body responding in ways that terrified me. Madeline nudged me gently. See him? He's noticing her. And so are you. I swallowed hard. Not him, not now. But there it was. A flutter in my chest, a warmth spreading, a strange excitement that mingled with my humiliation. Inside, I felt a storm. Shame clashed with attraction. Fear clashed with curiosity. Aaron wanted to look away, to run, to retreat into safety. Elle wanted to linger, to feel the attention, to be admired. When the young man called out softly, "You look really beautiful," my knees went weak. My face burned hotter than ever. I wanted to deny it, to hide, to scream, and yet I couldn't. Madeline's hand brushed lightly against my lower back. "Feel that," she whispered. "That's her. That's Elle. And you're starting to understand what it means to be seen." I shivered violently, half from embarrassment, half from the thrill of being admired. As we walked together toward the cafe, I noticed him looking again, shyly, almost tenderly. His eyes held curiosity, admiration, and something else, gentle interest. I felt a strange connection, an electric pull that I had never experienced before. Madeline watched, smiling softly. Notice how your heart races? That's not fear alone. That's her responding to attention, to desire, to connection. And you can't fight it forever. Her words sent a strange mixture of panic and longing through me. I hated how much she understood, hated how completely I was under her control, and yet I couldn't deny the thrill of it. Later, alone in the cafe bathroom, I stared at my reflection. Elle's wide eyes, flushed cheeks, delicate lips, they were real now. Not a costume, not a mask. Real. I touched my face, traced the soft curve of my jaw, the smooth slope of my cheeks. Tears pricked my eyes. Shame and longing tangled together, suffocating and exhilarating. Who am I anymore? I whispered. Aaron Orell. And then I remembered the young man's smile, his gentle interest. Something inside me stirred, a new desire, a new fear, a new confusion. Madeline's soft voice interrupted my spiraling thoughts. Tomorrow, you'll meet him again. In public. And you'll see just how much you're becoming her. The world is watching, and so are you. I shivered at the thought. Exposure, admiration, humiliation, it was all tangled together, impossible to separate. And deep down I realized, Elle isn't just emerging, she's taking over. The day started with a trembling sense of dread. Madeline had announced last night that today would push me further than ever. Full public exposure, long streets, crowded malls, and deliberate attention. My stomach churned at the thought. I slid into the skirt and blouse, stockings smooth against my legs, heels clicking softly as I adjusted my posture. Every motion felt unnatural, forced, but the more I moved, the more Elle seeped into my actions, subtly, dangerously. Madeline's eyes roamed over me, evaluating, approving, dominating. Good, she murmured. But today you're going to feel every stare, every whisper, every secret thrill. And you won't run. I wanted to scream. I wanted to hide. And yet I obeyed. As we stepped into the street, the city became a theater. Every passerby was an audience. Every glance pierced me. Every whisper, every fleeting smile weighed heavily on my chest. A group of women passed, giggling, pointing subtly in my direction. She's stunning and so feminine. A man at the crosswalk stared openly, eyebrows raised, then quickly looked away, but I caught his fleeting admiration. I felt my knees weaken, my heart pound, my cheeks burn. Each gaze was humiliation, yet an almost forbidden thrill coursed through me. Madeline's hand rested lightly on my lower back. Feel it, she whispered. This is what it means to be seen. And to feel it. At a crowded cafe, a young man looked at me, eyes lingering longer than polite. You're beautiful, he murmured. My face flamed. My stomach twisted. I wanted to flee, to hide my humiliation, but a tiny spark of pleasure flared inside me. A dangerous, forbidden thrill that made my chest tighten. Madeline leaned close, voice soft, almost seductive. There it is. That feeling? That's Elle, claiming space. And you're learning to accept her. I shivered violently, trembling from both embarrassment and the stirring of something unnameable. Later, in a small boutique restroom, I stared at my reflection. Elle's wide eyes stared back, delicate lips parted slightly, cheeks flushed. I traced my jawline, touched the soft curve of my neck. Every gesture felt foreign, yet intimate. Shame, fear, and an almost electric longing tangled together inside me. Who am I anymore? I whispered. Aaron felt like a ghost, fading into Elle's presence. And yet, a thrill coursed through me, responding to attention, desire, and control. Madeline's voice echoed softly, though she wasn't there. You're not Aaron anymore, and you're starting to feel the power in that. As we exited the boutique, a group of young men whistled softly, calling compliments. I froze, heat rushing to my face. My heels stumbled on the pavement. Madeline's hand steadied me. Good. That's the first wave. You feel it, don't you? The embarrassment, The desire, the thrill? That's her. That's Elle. I trembled violently, humiliated, exposed, and yet irresistibly drawn to the sensation. The line between shame and excitement blurred. Step by step, glance by glance, Elle's poise solidified. Aaron's hesitation, his old identity, felt weaker, distant. Every whispered compliment, every stare, every moment of attention made Elle stronger inside me. By the time we returned home, I was exhausted, trembling, and emotionally raw. My reflection in the mirror was no longer a stranger. It was her, alive, asserting herself, claiming my body as hers. Madeline's smile was soft but dangerous. Tomorrow, we push further. A crowded mall, a public showcase, and you'll see there's no turning back. I touched my lips, traced my jaw, and stared into the mirror. Elle's eyes stared back, confident, sensual, and alive. I realized, with a mix of terror and thrilling anticipation, I am no longer just Aaron. Elle is here and she is growing stronger. The morning air was crisp, but my nerves were hotter than ever. Today, Madeline had warned me. A full mall showcase. Crowds, stares, whispers, and the kind of attention that would push me beyond anything I had felt before. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the skirt, blouse, stockings, and heels. My reflection, Elle, was flawless, delicate, and terrifyingly feminine. The wide eyes, soft cheeks, and subtle curves made my stomach knot with fear, anticipation, and a strange thrill. Madeline circled me like a predator admiring her prey. Today, she said softly, you will see what it feels like to be truly exposed. To be desired, admired, and controlled. I swallowed hard. My hands shook, but I nodded. There was no turning back. The automatic doors opened, and the bright, bustling mall swallowed us. Every glance, every whisper, every subtle movement felt amplified. People stopped mid-step, heads turning. Women whispered, pointing subtly. Men stared openly, their expressions a mixture of curiosity, admiration, and incredulity. I felt my face heat, legs trembling in the heels. My body swayed with every step, every movement amplified by the skirt and stockings. Madeline's hand rested lightly on my back. Feel them, she whispered. Every gaze is yours. Every whisper, every stare. Let them see her, let them feel it too. A group of teenagers laughed softly. She's gorgeous. Wait, is that a guy? My knees weakened. I stumbled slightly on the heels. My cheeks burned crimson. Madeline's touch was both protective and controlling. Good. That's the first wave. The embarrassment, the thrill, the attention. That's Elle asserting herself. I shivered. Part of me wanted to collapse, to hide, to scream. And yet, deep inside, another part thrilled at the attention. The lines between humiliation and pleasure blurred. We entered a boutique, and Madeline guided me through racks of dresses, skirts, and delicate blouses. She made me try on outfits I had never imagined wearing, adjusting the fit, curling my hair, applying subtle touches of makeup. Each look in the mirror was a jolt. Elle's presence was undeniable. Her posture, her movements, her gaze. It all screamed feminine confidence I didn't feel, but my body reflected. A saleswoman paused, eyes lingering on me. Wow, you look amazing, she said softly. I froze. My hands shook. My heart raced. I hated that I enjoyed the compliment, yet a small thrill surged through me. Madeline's eyes gleamed with triumph. Feel it, she whispered. That is her. That is Elle. By mid-afternoon, Aaron's hesitation was fading. Elle's poise, her allure, her very presence was taking over. Every glance, every compliment, every moment of attention reinforced her dominance in my psyche. I caught a reflection in the boutique window. Elle's eyes stared back, confident, sultry, alive. My chest tightened, not with fear, but with an almost intoxicating awareness of being admired. Madeline's words pierced my thoughts. Do you feel it yet? How much power comes from being seen, desired, controlled? I shivered violently, trembling from humiliation, excitement, and the strange pleasure of submission. As we exited the mall, a familiar voice called out, "Elle?" I froze. A former classmate was staring at me, eyes wide with recognition and disbelief. Panic flooded me. Madeline smiled softly. "She's yours now," she whispered. "You're Elle. And this is her world." My cheeks burned. Every step, every glance, every whisper reinforced the reality. Erin was fading, Elle was emerging, and there was no turning back. By the time we returned home, my legs ached, my face burned, my mind was a whirlwind. Elle's presence was fully awake inside me, undeniable, dominant. Madeline's voice was soft, dangerous. "Tomorrow, you will meet him again. In public. And you'll see how much more powerful she can be, how much more irresistible. Are you ready for that?" I stared at the mirror. Elle's eyes, confident and alive, stared back. My chest tightened, my stomach knotted, and I realized with a mixture of fear and thrill. Elle is no longer a part of me. She is me, and the world will see her. The evening descended quietly, but my mind was anything but calm. The events of the mall were replaying in every detail: the stares, the whispers, the admiration. Elle had been seen, admired, and accepted in ways Erin never had. And with every passing moment, Erin's hesitation and resistance felt like a distant memory, fragile and fading. Madeline had promised tonight would be another step, closer, more intimate, a test of submission and identity. I felt my stomach tighten, my heart race, and my cheeks flush at the thought. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my skirt, smoothing my stockings, and carefully applying subtle makeup under Madeline's watchful eye. "You look perfect," she said softly, almost a whisper, but every word carried control. "But tonight you will feel her. Completely. No holding back. No hiding." I trembled, my hands shaking, as I tried to focus on Erin, the person I had been. But she was gone. Elle had already begun taking over in posture, in gaze, in subtle movements that now felt instinctive rather than forced. Madeline smiled, circling me like a predator. "Every glance, every touch, will remind you whose body this is, and whose rules you follow." We stepped into a quiet lounge where a young man, introduced by Madeline as part of the evening's experience, waited. His eyes lingered on me, lingering, appreciative, curious. "Elle," he murmured, voice gentle, yet with a hint of admiration. "You look incredible." Heat surged through me. My cheeks burned, my chest tightened. Erin wanted to run, to hide, to deny, but Elle responded instead. A soft, almost instinctive smile curved my lips. Madeline's hand brushed lightly along my back. "Good. Feel it. Every glance, every reaction, it's hers now. Not yours." As the evening progressed, I felt a whirlwind of emotions: embarrassment, thrill, desire, humiliation, and the strange, intoxicating pleasure of being controlled. Every compliment, every gaze, every gentle touch reminded me that Erin's resistance was weakening. Elle was emerging fully, dominating my actions, my thoughts, my body. I caught my reflection in a polished surface. A stranger stared back at me. Wide eyes, delicate features, soft lips, an elegant posture. Erin whispered in my mind, faintly, but Elle responded, confident, poised, aware. I am her now, I realized. There is no going back. The young man, kind, gentle, attentive, began speaking softly to me. Questions about preferences, laughter at shared jokes, gentle touches on the hand. I felt warmth in my chest, a flutter that mixed with humiliation and excitement. Madeline observed quietly, a small, satisfied smile on her lips. Notice how she responds, how she reacts, how you feel in that. That is her dominance over your identity, your desire, your shame. Every word, every glance, every touch reinforced the psychological shift. Elle was no longer just a persona. She was becoming me, or perhaps I was becoming her. After he left, alone in the room, I collapsed in front of the mirror. Tears prickled my eyes. Shame, excitement, humiliation, and longing mixed into a knot that twisted my stomach. Aaron was a memory. Elle was alive. And the intimacy of the evening had cemented a part of me I could no longer deny. Madeline's voice echoed softly, almost from nowhere. You see now, don't you? That feeling, the mixture of fear, desire, and submission, is hers. And the world will notice, too. I shivered, exhausted, exhilarated, and terrified. As I touched my face, traced my jawline, and stared into the mirror, I realized something terrifying. Elle is no longer a mask. She is alive. She is dominant. And Aaron may be gone forever. Madeline's soft, commanding whisper cut through my spiraling thoughts. Tomorrow, a public showcase of affection. And you will feel what it truly means to surrender and be seen. The morning light filtered softly through the curtains, but I felt no calm. Madeline had told me yesterday that today would be the ultimate test, a public display of affection in a crowded plaza where every movement, glance, and gesture would confirm Elle's dominance over my identity. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting my skirt, stockings, blouse, and heels. My hands trembled as I traced the contours of my face, now so familiar yet still shocking to me. Elle's reflection stared back, wide-eyed, poised, and undeniably alive. Madeline circled me with a predator's grace. Today, she whispered, you will surrender fully. Every glance, every whisper, every touch will reinforce her. And Aaron is fading fast. Can you feel it? I swallowed hard, my chest tightening. I wasn't sure if I could, but I had no choice. The plaza was alive with people, families, couples, shoppers, and wandering tourists. Every step on the heels amplified my awareness. Every sway of the skirt highlighted my new curves. The eyes of strangers felt like flames tracing every inch of my body. Madeline held my hand lightly, guiding me, but her grip was more than supportive. It was commanding. Let them see her. Let them hear her. And feel it, too. A group of teenagers paused, whispering, "Is she really a guy?" My cheeks burned. My knees trembled. And yet, another part of me, a dark, thrilling part, thrived on the attention, the humiliation, the admiration. Madeline had arranged for the young man from the previous night to meet us there. As soon as he saw me, his eyes widened, admiration and desire clear. He approached, hands gentle, eyes soft. "Elle, you look incredible." I felt my chest tighten. My face burned. Aaron wanted to hide, to flee, to reclaim his old self, but Elle stepped forward instead. A soft smile curved my lips, instinctive, poised, alive. Madeline's hand rested on my back. Good. Every touch, every glance is hers now. Feel it, revel in it, submit to it. He reached for my hand, fingers brushing mine. I trembled violently. Humiliation, thrill, desire, and surrender all collided inside me. By mid-afternoon, Aaron was nearly gone. Elle dominated every thought, every gesture, every reaction. Compliments, stares, whispers. They weren't just external. They coursed through my body, through my mind, reinforcing her presence. I caught my reflection in a shop window. Elle's eyes stared back, confident, radiant, sensual. My heart pounded with a strange combination of shame and exhilaration. Madeline's whisper pierced through my mind. See? That feeling, that submission, that attention, that thrill, it is hers. You are hers. And the world sees it too. Every touch from him, every gaze from strangers, every whispered comment amplified my internal chaos. Shame blended with desire. Fear collided with pleasure. I realized with a shiver that I enjoyed being admired, even as my mind screamed in denial. Elle's dominance over me was complete. Aaron's protests were faint echoes, powerless against the tidal wave of transformation. As the young man leaned closer, whispering softly, and Madeline's eyes gleamed with triumph, I felt the final, Terrifying realization. Eren is fading. El is alive. And there is no turning back. Madeline's voice, soft but commanding, whispered in my ear. Tomorrow we finalize it. The world will see her, and you will surrender fully. The morning sun spilled gold across my bedroom, but I felt no warmth. The events of the plaza, the whispers, the touches, the stares, they all replayed endlessly in my mind. Eren's protests were faint echoes now, barely a whisper beneath the thunderous presence of El. Madeline's voice broke the silence, soft yet commanding. Today, we finish this. You will become her fully. Every trace of him, every hesitation, every old thought erased. And the world will see her. My chest tightened. My legs shook. I wanted to scream, to run, to cling to the fading memory of Eren. But El was ready. She had taken root, grown stronger, and demanded expression. I stood before the mirror, slipping into the most elegant dress I had ever worn. Silk hugged my curves, stockings smoothed my legs, and heels elevated me in a way that made my posture instinctively graceful. My makeup, applied with trembling hands under Madeline's careful supervision, highlighted my eyes, lips, and cheekbones perfectly. El's reflection stared back at me, confident, poised, and undeniably alive. Eren's shadow flickered behind her, pale and fading, whispering in vain. Madeline circled me like a victor surveying her conquest. Feel it? Every glance, every detail, every movement hers. You're hers. There's no turning back. I trembled violently, a mixture of fear, shame, and a thrilling surrender coursing through me. We stepped out into a lavish hall, filled with guests, observers, and curious onlookers. Cameras, whispers, and stares amplified the intensity. El walked confidently, heels clicking against the polished floor, skirt swaying gracefully. Whispers followed us. She's stunning. Absolutely beautiful. Wait, is she? I felt heat rise to my face, my heart pounding violently, and yet a small, dangerous thrill surged inside me. I enjoyed being seen, admired, desired. Madeline's hand rested lightly on my lower back, a reminder of control, dominance, and submission. Yes, feel it. Every gaze, every word, it's hers now. As the evening progressed, Eren's protests became silent memories. El responded instinctively to every compliment, every glance, every touch. The world recognized her beauty, poise, and presence. And I, trapped within, realized that resistance was impossible. Every whisper, every look, every soft comment from the young man I had bonded with earlier reinforced El's dominance. I shivered, trembling with a mix of humiliation, pleasure, and undeniable surrender. Madeline leaned close, whispering softly, Eren is gone. She is alive. And the world sees her now. Tears pricked my eyes. Shame, longing, thrill, and submission intertwined. She is me. I am her. Later, alone in a quiet room, I stared at my reflection. El's eyes were wide and alive, lips soft and inviting, cheeks flushed. I touched my face, traced my jawline, ran a hand through my hair. There was no Eren here. Only El. Confident, graceful, radiant. Fully alive. Fully dominant. Fully seen. And in that moment, I realized with a terrifying, exhilarating clarity. I am El. Eren is gone. And this is my life now. Madeline's voice echoed softly from the doorway, a mixture of pride and triumph. The world has seen her, and now so have you. There's no turning back, and you wouldn't want to. El is perfect because you let her be. I sank to my knees in front of the mirror, trembling with release, surrender, and a complex mixture of joy and sorrow. My reflection smiled back, a perfect mirror of submission and dominance. The final thought, soft yet powerful, lingered in my mind. I am her. I am El. And nothing else matters anymore. Weeks had passed since that night of ultimate submission. The city, once intimidating and judgmental, now felt like El's stage. Every glance, every smile, every whisper of admiration reminded me that this life, my life, was hers. Mine.
Elle's.
I woke up in my apartment, sunlight spilling across the polished floors. My reflection in the mirror greeted me. Wide eyes, soft lips, flushed cheeks, perfect posture. A small smile curved across her face, a smile that had once been foreign, now instinctive. Erin's memory lingered faintly, like a forgotten dream. But it held no weight, no claim. Elle was alive.
Whole. Complete.
Each morning, the routine was familiar and empowering. Choosing the perfect outfit, applying makeup with meticulous care, adjusting heels and stockings, and practicing the fluid movements that had once been awkward and forced, it was now instinctive. The city, the streets, the cafes, all became stages for Elle's poise, confidence, and radiant femininity. Men, women, and strangers alike offered glances, compliments, and subtle signs of admiration. Each one reinforced the psychological and emotional power she now wielded effortlessly. Madeline had stepped back, her influence lingering like a protective shadow. She smiled softly whenever we met, knowing the transformation was complete. "She is perfect," she whispered once. "And you've learned to embrace it fully." Sitting before the mirror one evening, I traced the contours of my face, fingers brushing softly over delicate features that had once belonged to Erin. The memory of fear, resistance, and shame surfaced, but now it was tempered with understanding. Erin had been a vessel, a starting point. Elle had grown within me, taking control, asserting dominance, and claiming the life that had been denied to her before. And in that process, I had found strength, beauty, and even pleasure in ways I could never have imagined. The blush of submission, the thrill of being admired, the subtle power of feminine grace. It was addictive, intoxicating, and entirely mine. Walking through the city, Elle moved confidently. Strangers recognized her, smiled, and sometimes whispered. Compliments flowed naturally, no longer humiliating, only affirming. One day, a former acquaintance paused, eyes widening in recognition. "Elle, is that really you?" I smiled softly, a mix of pride and playfulness curling my lips. "Yes," I said simply, letting the moment linger. Elle was alive, undeniable, and unashamed. The young man from earlier continued to play a role in Elle's life, a friend, companion, and subtle source of affection. Their interactions were warm, playful, and sometimes teasing, but always respectful of the confidence and beauty Elle now radiated. Every interaction, every glance, every word reinforced the life I, or rather, she, had chosen. The lines between fear, shame, desire, and joy had disappeared, replaced with the confident knowledge that Elle was real, alive, and unshakable. One quiet evening, Elle stood before the mirror, hand brushing softly through her hair, heels clicking softly against the floor. The reflection smiled back with a sense of completeness, confidence, and a quiet thrill. The final thought, soft and undeniable, settled into her mind. I am her. I am Elle. Erin is gone. And this life, this power, this beauty, this identity is mine. Tears of joy, submission, and triumph welled in her eyes. The journey had been long, terrifying, and exhilarating, but now it was complete. Elle's reflection winked softly, a promise to the world and herself. She would live fully, boldly, and unapologetically as the woman she had become. Weeks had passed since Elle's public debut, and each day further solidified her dominance, not just in mind and body, but in society's perception. The city, once intimidating and alien, now responded to her presence with admiration, curiosity, and subtle desire. Every glance, whisper, and touch reinforced the transformation, erasing the last vestiges of Erin's resistance. Madeline remained a quiet, commanding presence, a shadow of control that reminded Elle of the rules she had learned to embrace. Power, she whispered softly, comes from submission that has been perfected. You are hers, and the world now knows it too. Each morning began the same way: reflection in the mirror, careful makeup application, and meticulous dressing. But now, the movements were instinctive. Where Erin once stumbled, Elle now glided, graceful and poised. Stockings, heels, skirts, and accessories became extensions of her presence. Even in silence, Elle's posture radiated confidence. The transformation was no longer physical alone. It had seeped into her voice, her gait, and her mannerisms. I caught my reflection mid-step, fingers adjusting my hair instinctively. Elle's eyes glimmered with satisfaction and subtle power. I could feel it. Every motion, every glance, every breath was now hers. Today, Madeline had organized another public event, a high-end social gathering. Elle walked in, the center of attention, heels clicking softly, dress flowing elegantly. The crowd's murmurs of admiration and envy filled the room. Former colleagues, acquaintances, and strangers alike watched in awe. Compliments poured freely. No one doubted her presence, her beauty, or her authority. One man approached, clearly nervous, yet respectful. Elle, your presence, that's extraordinary. Elle smiled, a subtle, commanding curve of the lips. Every word, every gesture reinforced her dominance, and every reaction confirmed that Erin's identity had vanished. Later, alone with Madeline, she spoke softly, yet every word carried weight. You see how easily they respond? That's power. That's submission perfected. You are hers completely, and she will be unstoppable. Elle felt an electric shiver. The thrill of control, even through submission, was addictive. The whispers, glances, and reactions had etched her identity deeper than ever. Mirror reflections confirmed the truth: confident, radiant, poised, undeniably feminine, and completely dominant in her submission. Despite the public attention, it was the private moments that cemented the final psychological shift. Every compliment, every gentle touch from the young companion, every whisper of admiration merged shame, thrill, and empowerment into a singular reality. Elle was fully alive. Erin's shadow had dissolved entirely. She could no longer remember fear, protest, or resistance. Elle's identity was now unassailable, real, and fully dominant. Madeline's voice, soft yet commanding, echoed from behind. Tomorrow we make her story known to everyone. The final test, and she will rise unchallenged, admired, and undeniable. The tension, thrill, and emotional intensity surged. Elle's journey was complete, but the world was about to witness her dominance fully. The day arrived with an air of inevitability. Elle awoke not as Erin trapped in skirts, but as Elle herself, radiant, confident, and ready. The mirror no longer revealed conflict. It reflected a woman perfected through control, humiliation, and surrender. Madeline's final words echoed in her mind. Today, the world won't just see you. They will believe you. They will never remember Erin again. A grand hall had been prepared, a charity gala filled with journalists, influencers, executives, and politicians. Cameras flashed, microphones angled, eyes fixed with anticipation. Elle's arrival wasn't casual. It was staged as an unveiling. She entered the room draped in a flowing gown of shimmering silk, her hair styled to perfection, every step deliberate, every motion elegant. The murmurs grew louder. Who is she? She's stunning. That's Elle. She's the one everyone's been talking about. The attention wasn't fleeting, it was reverent. Madeline guided Elle to the stage, her hand firm, yet gentle on her back. Elle stood under the spotlight, the crowd silenced in awe. She began to speak, voice steady, feminine, and mesmerizing. Each word carried the weight of authenticity, each sentence echoing with truth. She spoke of reinvention, strength, beauty in surrender, and the courage to embrace who she had become. But beneath the polished speech was the unspoken reality. Erin was gone, and Elle had risen in his place. The crowd erupted into applause, not polite, but thunderous. In the audience, someone from Erin's past gasped, a childhood friend. His eyes widened in recognition, then softened into acceptance. He whispered to another, "That can't be Erin, she's Elle." For Elle, it was the breaking point. That final thread connecting her to her old self snapped. Not even those who once knew Erin could see him anymore. Elle exhaled, her heart racing, as she realized the truth. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't trapped. She wasn't ashamed. She was alive, desired, and admired. Later, in the quiet of the dressing room, Madeline approached. "You've done it. You're untouchable now." Elle, still glowing from the ovation, whispered, "Erin is gone. I don't even remember him anymore." Madeline smirked, brushing a strand of hair from Elle's cheek. "Exactly as I planned. Exactly as you needed." The cameras had captured her. The world had applauded her. And in the reflection of the full-length mirror, Elle smiled. Not a forced smile, but one of true acceptance. She whispered to herself, barely audible yet absolute, "I am Elle, and this is who I was meant to be." The next days passed in a whirlwind. Every step I took as Elle was confident. Every glance I received, every compliment I heard, every touch from Daniel strengthened her presence. Veronica's control remained, but it became a guiding hand rather than a weapon. I went out into the city, walked into cafes, shopped in crowded malls, and even attended social gatherings. Everywhere I went, Elle was admired, seen, alive. And with each passing day, Ethan's voice faded further, a distant echo of a life I once had. I even began to enjoy the small things, the gentle brushing of my hair, the soft curve of my skirts, the thrill of being called beautiful or pretty. Humiliation transformed into pride, control into empowerment, fear into exhilaration. One night, alone in front of the mirror, I whispered softly, "Elle, you are me now, and I am you." Veronica appeared behind me, smiling gently. "You've done well. You've embraced her fully. There's no turning back. And yet, you've never been stronger." I nodded, heart pounding, body trembling. There was loss, yes. Ethan was gone, but there was also power, beauty, desire, and life. I had transformed completely. And somewhere deep inside, I realized this was not just a punishment or a humiliation or control. This was freedom. Elle was real. Elle was alive.
And
I was hers. Weeks had passed since the pageant, and life had settled into a new, surreal rhythm. I woke each morning in a soft, sunlit room, the delicate rustle of silk sheets under my fingers. Elle's reflection greeted me in the mirror, poised, radiant, and undeniably alive. The first few mornings were strange, almost alien. I would catch a glimpse of my hands, soft and delicate, and feel the curve of my body beneath the nightgown. A twinge of panic would surge. Ethan's ghost, a whisper of the past, but each time, the sensation was quickly replaced by pride, awe, and a subtle thrill. Every day, I practiced her movements, her voice, her mannerisms. But this time, there was no coercion, no manipulation, no Veronica's sharp corrections or teasing authority. I moved naturally, confidently, savoring the new identity I had chosen. The small joys became profound. The sway of my hips, the gentle curve of my smile, the delicate touch of my hands, all were mine to claim. The mirrors no longer reflected fear or shame, but a life fully realized. Daniel became a constant presence in my life, his admiration genuine, his affection warm and grounding. Together, we walked through parks, shopped in crowded streets, and shared quiet evenings filled with laughter and whispered secrets. He never saw me as Ethan. To him, I was Elle, strong, beautiful, radiant, and alive. And with each kind word, each soft touch, each smile, my confidence bloomed further. Veronica remained in my life, though her role had shifted from manipulator to mentor. Her watchful eyes were no longer threatening, but guiding. She reminded me of the strength in visibility, the power in femininity, and the liberation in embracing desire, attention, and beauty. Occasionally, a fleeting memory of Ethan would whisper from the shadows, a reminder of the boy I had been. I allowed it to pass, acknowledging it but no longer fighting against Elle's rising presence. Walking through the city, I could feel eyes on me, not with judgment, but with admiration. Strangers smiled, complimented, and stared. The once terrifying public exposure had become exhilarating, empowering, and intoxicating. Every glance, every word, every moment affirmed